Happy Wednesday. This is Why with One Stop. I'm Sam Hayes, and we're going to go over what went wrong in April. This is my April file recap of what we did to fix the different problems that came up and that we dealt with on the files. I've been doing this for over 2 decades now in Southern California. I've worked on over 7,000 transactions. A risk management focused transaction coordinator. I'm car certified TC, forms trainer. I'm a realtor. I'm a notary, short sale certified, all that fun stuff. Basically, I have alphabet soup. I love this stuff, and I'm so happy you're here to talk about it with me. My mission statement that I like to share every time is my job is to create a defendable, risk management focused, and well documented file in compliance with DRE, broker, and statutory requirements. Through the services I offer, I provide additional bandwidth to the independent brokers and agents I assist by freeing up their time and energy to focus on pursuing their business generation goals. I'm here to get you back out doing what you love so I can stay at home and do what I love, which is yelling at a screen and trying to figure out all the little nitty gritty problems and all the fun stuff on the files. Okay, so this is one that has been a fun little bit that popped up right before at the beginning of the month. New maps are out. So if you have any of your listings where, as we know, within 5 days of your listing, you were supposed to order the NHD report, it was prior to March 23rd, make sure you are double checking that you have the updated version. You can go to, and I'll put the link in, or you can look up new FHDS maps. But basically, this is showing that my home is right there on that little orange dot. And I went from, as you can see, no fire to now very, very high fire. Make sure you're double checking. If you're on the buyer side, you're getting an NHD report, check the date on it. Double check with the NHD company that's the most current one with the most updated maps. Fun fact though, just because the NHD in real estate is caught up, the CAL FIRE and the fire departments have not. A lot of them are not getting the maps till this month. A lot of them weren't even ready, saying, if you're not in high fire, I'm not. They don't have the bandwidth, they don't have the staff. So double check, make sure you're going forward with this. Stay tuned. July, we are going to have an increase of disclosure that is required by law for the FHDS on the listing side. I went to the Form on Forms class yesterday, meeting with Carr. There was a Zoom call, about 200 of us, and that is where they're going to be changing that form. I know it's already fun. Nobody marks the box correctly. The new requirement is that the seller is to provide the buyer with a cost sensitive list of different avenues, opportunities, things that they can do to mitigate for home hardening, defensible space, getting the yards cleared, all of that fun stuff. So that list is being incorporated into this form that's already pretty messy. I have some concerns. We'll be going over it beginning of June. Right now, they are taking feedback on how they want to do the changes. So as soon as that form is ready, I'm happy to share it with you. But just double check this stuff right now. We're in a weird gray area floating for about the next month, month and a half. And definitely have your sellers contact CAL FIRE or the local fire department. Most of the NHDs are telling you who to call. See if they'll come out and do the reports. Usually it's for free. It's an easy walkthrough, and they should be able to get you set up. It also helps with sometimes having that documentation if you have any concerns about insurance, like I now get to have concerns. So that'll be fun. Oops. And of course, my mouse is being cranky. Trusts don't have hands. I know I repeat this every single time, but this comes up all the time. The trust is the entity. The LLC is the entity. The S Corp is the entity. If we get to it, the REO is the entity. The probate, the administrator, the estate is the entity. Those are the entities. Those are the big names. That's who is selling. However, your signer, your trustee, your manager, your member, your administrator, your executor, your power of attorney, those are the people with hands. Those are the people that can sign. So you need to make sure that when you're doing your DocuSigns and everything else, it's their name, comma, their title. I understand. Carr says, well, we have the RCSD and you don't have to do that and it's fine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but what if we get a lawyer who doesn't do car forms? What if we get a situation where somebody doesn't feel it was clear? Two extra steps of putting a comma into your DocuSign, you can set it up in the label, and the person's title helps create that clarity, helps do that every single time. But there is a big difference between who's selling, entity, big name, Smith Trust, ABC LLC, all of that, and Mary Maid Smith is signing as trustee, or Betsy Adams is signing as executor, or whatever. So there is a difference between the two. Pay attention. It comes up all the time. And especially when the market's weird and we're the different types of sales that are happening are with trusts and people passing in estates, get your documents right. You want to make sure you're double checking that. Along those lines, another one I keep having, who is the seller? Who is selling? And is there more than one? I got to go back and it's like, yeah, you're in a trust. Well, I can sign. No. If you have a seller with a trust, have them double check, have it early on when you take the listing, get title's eyes on it, find out who all needs to sign, find out all the formatting. I've had a couple where suddenly there was a third seller. Oh no, we took her off. Well, I appreciate you took her off, but right now, title investing and the records say she's still here. Well, no, 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 my wife never has to sign. Well, this title document or this trust document does not agree with you. So make sure you're getting that info. Go ahead and get that property profile. It's not the full prelim. This is why we work with our title officer friends and we have our title reps that we have partnerships with. That's part of that team because as an agent, you're never alone in a transaction. There really is. That's why we have to break it out. There's so much stuff. So we go into title. Hey, I'm taking a listing. They are more than excited to help support you. You get that property profile and let's find out, are there any weird liens? I had one come up with the HOA had a lien, even though the mortgage was fine. The HOA can, and I've seen it years and years ago, but the HOA can foreclose. This is a problem. So we want to get that handled before going under escrow and we're dealing with last minute issues. Also making sure you're running your CMA, running your seller net sheet. Those are also part of that whole thing from the NAR settlement as we revisit. That is part of making sure that transparency, why we dealt with all the crap last year, is all together. So take your time, get your property profile, find out who the heck is who's selling this and who do we need to have signed everything, and let's make sure they want to sell. I also have some divorce situations right now. We got to make sure everybody's in agreement, and otherwise then we're getting court orders to demand the sales. It's messy out there. Take your time. You've got this extra, we have a few extra days on the market. Utilize that. Let's have a solid file ready to roll so when you get an escrow, we can minimize the speed bumps and keep everything moving forward as quickly as possible to the terms of your contract. Communication documentation. Oh, well, I talked to my client. I don't care. Oh, well, it's fine. We mentioned it. They know. Do you have proof? Oh, well, it's no, no, they're old family friends. I don't worry about. Would you like to have a happy Thanksgiving? Put it in writing. A great circle back email, as I always say, and this was one of the things I'm grateful to my mom for teaching me, was circle back. And I didn't get it. I was like, what? They know I did it. I'm fine. I did what I was doing. No, 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 they don't. No, they don't. The brain weasels are going crazy and they're freaking out. And so instead, they're not worrying about that. And then they're snippy and they're micromanaging you. And it's no, thank you. Circle back, give an update, say, hey, it was great talking to you today, Mr. Buyer, seller, madam, sir, whatever. We talked about blah, blah, blah. You said you were going to do blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. This is do blah, blah, blah. Could you respond confirming you received this? Let me know if you have any questions. That's all you have to do. Well, I don't have time for that, Sam. I don't have this for that, Sam. I texted him. Okay, text is good. Text is good, but it's not the best. The email has a time date stamp. It's legible. It's easy to read. The whole point of it is a communication log. CC or TC. If you're working with me, I've got my agents know that they need to CC me because I just throw those into a file and I build a comm log. So when there's questions and everybody's upset and Thanksgiving's getting a little uncomfortable, we can go back to a neutral document. We can go back to a neutral thing where this was agreed to. Okay, we talked about it. Oh, I forgot. Life happens. That's okay. But that's why this is so important. Also, when markets get unique and tired and different, and as much as I want to sprinkle all the glitter and rainbows, and I am here to be as positive as possible, reality is things are shifting, and they've been shifting for past 3 years. I'm very over being part of unprecedented times. With that, things get tight, people get nervous, concerns, responses are different. The more you can make sure you're protecting yourself with documentation, the better off you'll be. So circle back, as Sassy would say, circle back and close that loop. Make sure you let people know when it's done. Make sure you show that they've been delivered. CC people over there. Keep your comm log. CC yourself on your emails to build your comm log. It's more important than anybody gives it credit for, and it has protected more of my clients. because we had the documentation, we had the proof, plus we could show that we told them here, here, and here, or we asked on this date, this date, this date, this date, this date. Pay attention. Your license means things, and I would rather have you go, I don't want to do it, Sam. This is annoying. Ugh. Okay, you can be annoyed with me for 15 minutes and then not have to deal with a lawsuit for 9 months, which takes up your brain space and can limit your bandwidth and ability to service your clients. Up to you. I'm going to go with the 5 minutes. That's just me. With that, texting is for coordination, not negotiation. Well, they'll only negotiate via text. Fine. Let them know in the text. Hey, I'm going to do a recap email as we were just talking about. Hey, here are the screenshots if you have to. I understand everybody. Oh, well, they only will do this. No, you're the professional. You were hired as the professional. We are hired as professionals. We know what's going to be needed if this goes to court. I look at every single file that's potentially going to go to court. So how do we protect ourselves from that? What do? Take the extra steps. You put your foot down. You be the pain. You know, as I tell everybody, my job is to be a paranoid freak. I got to look at this stuff like, oh my God, what could go wrong? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? These little bits and pieces are what can help belt and suspender to protect you. And I really think it's something we're not paying enough attention to with the way the world is going. So make sure you remember texting is for coordination, not for negotiation. This has been one that comes up a lot. When's delivery? What's delivery? Well, I'm going to wait to deliver. I had another TC contact me about an agent who was going to sit on a signature because they didn't want the time frames to start. Well, that's not how this works. So if in the contract, both agents have filled out their emails and all of this is agreed to, then once that agent hits send, these two emails down below here on your two sections, that email, that's when you're going to go ahead and that's considered delivery. So once that send button goes, you're delivered. We don't sit on things. We don't wait on things. If you get audited or they go back through and see these paper trails, when did you receive the document? When did you send it over? That's kind of, are you acting in good faith? Are you following all the agreements of the timeframes of the contract? Watch out for stuff like that. You are also not party. You being agents are not party to the contract. You are not part of this. So your actions of, well, I want to do this. No, unless you've got direct instructions in writing from your client, plus your rebuttal of, hey, you're going against broker advice doing this, you're opening yourself for potential exposure here. Follow your time frames. Make sure that we're going ahead. Fill this out correctly. Make sure you have the correct email address here. Do not put your TCs. This is going to be yours where you get your email. And if you want to get texted to, this is got to be where you put that phone number. It's really important. You got to pay attention. And if they, same on the other side, if they say I didn't get it, well, if it's in this info and they can't find it or they missed it, that's on them. And something that we need to be aware of, especially with time frames in all of our offers. Another one that's been going on. There is a difference between your deposit and your verification of down payment. I understand that sometimes the deposit can be the down payment. That could be all they're bringing in. That's it. That's fine. But we still need to say that. It needs to be clarified. So we have two different things. One, we've got, okay, our deposit amount. That's the number that's going to be here in 2D1. That's your 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, whatever. Then they're going to get a loan. Okay, whatever loan amount they got here, great. Then there's a balance of money due because typically they're not getting a full loan for the full amount of the offer, or if it's been negotiated or something changed. This balance, this amount, we've got to prove they have that money. And in the BRBC and also the RLA, within 5 days, both sides, either the seller or the buyer, needs to provide the documentation showing that they either don't have funds to pay for commissions or they do they have enough money to buy this, all of that stuff. So you should have already received it if you're on the buyer side because it's in that time frame. So you should have this on file. If you don't, then we need to contact the lender. Well, Sam, I'm worried about their account number. Sam, I don't want to give out that information. That's fine. Get me a letter that the lender's verified it. Get me a letter from the bank if it's all cash. Fine. Get some third party to do it. Fine. But somebody else besides you and the client. Or make sure if we're doing this, screenshots, black out those account numbers. But this is a different thing than this. So when everybody says, oh, well, they sent in the deposit, that's your verification down. No. I need something to verify whatever this number is. Then, because that's due within 3 days. That's RPA 2H2 right here down below. So I need to know that I've got this much money and I got proof of it. within 3 days of accepting the offer or whatever time frame you send here. It may be when you send the offer with the prequel. It may say the lender has verified all funds for the purchase and that's on the prequel. Great. But make sure it's clear and make sure you point that out because this is going to be something that's been coming up. It should have been. It's off and on been a problem. And it could be a situation where if you didn't verify on the listing side and we said we had it and suddenly they can't purchase, there's some liability because we are also acting as we're not party to this contract, but we are helping get it executed and getting all the documents and getting in compliance for it. So make sure you are getting those two different numbers and you're getting proof of those two different numbers. Oh, silly allergies. All right. You're not party to the contract. You are not party. That means I'm sending a notice to perform. No, you're not. You can talk to your client about sending a notice to perform, but you're not sending a notice to perform. Well, we're not going to take that offer. No, your client might not take that offer. You can tell them why you don't think they should take that offer, but you're not part of the contract. Well, I'm getting this much commission. Well, the commission's going to be no, the credit in RPA 3G3 to the buyer to pay a commission is, but you are not setting the buyer's agent's commission. You're just saying how much you're willing to credit. They may be doing something on the other side. I've got agents who have BRBCs at a certain number. They get less of that amount. They have their clients pay the difference. So you're not setting that commission. Agents are not party to the contract. That's a benefit and also a detriment. I appreciate that we're acting with our fiduciary and very excited, want to take care of our clients, make sure everything's great for them, but you're not party to it. So watch your words, watch your tone, watch how you're communicating. You don't run this contract. We're here to facilitate it for our buyer and sellers. They're the two parties of the contract. It's a big deal, and you definitely want to keep an eye on your words. Along those lines, when you're ordering a home inspection, say maybe you have a client, the client said, I don't know who to go with, use your person. You always want to refer three different people, of course. Oh, I have a pest inspector that I've always used. Great. Don't put your name on there. Put their name. Even if you have to put it at your address, put their name. You don't need your name on there. You're not part of the contract. That's not your inspection. If for some reason you have to use your name, we definitely want to make sure that both parties then sign that they have received this document to protect you. Because you can't say, well, we ordered the inspection, it's on file, but it's in your name. What if they never got to your client? And I did have this happen with the chimney report years ago to a point of major lawsuit, having to rebuild the whole chimney. Everything was in the agent's name, and we could not prove that it ever got to the client because the chimney people sent it directly to the agent. Agent assumed and forgot, didn't give it to anybody else, and it went over to the other side, or it never went over the other side. Be careful. Share, you can help facilitate, and that's what we're here for. But get it to the right people and say, look, they need a copy at the same time. Put it on the third party. One more email address is not going to kill anybody to send a report to. Get everything out, but don't put your name on there. You don't want to be liable for this. I know the best reports say the agents can sign. Do you want to be responsible for that $4,000, $5,000, $10,000 for that work done if something goes haywire? Oh, Sam, that never happens. There's a reason I tell these stories because it happened. So make sure you're taking care of yourself and protecting yourself and your fiduciary. There needs to be a boundary there. Don't put your name on the reports. Make sure it's all in your client's name. Now, this one I literally just took a picture of because it just tickled me. I won't lie. This is full on tickling me. But as a reminder, get your agent's visuals done. The TDS is incomplete if you mark the box on page 3 on the listing side. See AVID to follow. Well, that TDS isn't fully complete, and you just gave me 5 more days from whenever I get your agent's visual. Boom, done. It's in the RPA. 10A2, I think. I'll have to look it up. Just do your AVID. Your AVID is one of 2 civil code requirements for the agent in the contract. The act of doing the AVID, you are to physically inspect the property, visually inspect the property, that you went there, that you actually know what you're selling. This document was created to protect you so that there's proof that you did it and everybody's been told that you did go walk the property. Then there's the whole thing of what to put on the AVID, but that's a different webinar that we'll talk about. But this, yeah, driving around over off of Arrow Drive, I saw this building say AVID and I had to take a picture because that just cracked me up. So little funny things that make you giggle when you're doing real estate for too many years. Do your agent's visual, do it as soon as possible, do it as cleanly as possible, take photographs. Glide is the software that I use with my clients. It's a great situation. It can get text to you, or it can also be emailed to you. So you can fill out the form, take your photos, and we're all set. Some of the hints, tips, hot tips, all that fun stuff. Don't over investigate. I had a client right now who has a trustee sale, and while I appreciate their diligence, they did a diligence to a level that now we have some exposure because there was information the trustee wouldn't have been aware of, they were not responsible for, but now we are. And now we have to make sure, how do we move forward, because it could be a health and safety item. Solar documentation, get it as soon as possible during your listing. We're supposed to get all the different things. Ask for the contract, review it, see if the word contract or see what's going on. Get your client to contact the solar to let them know we're going to start the transaction and get everything for clarity. Find out for escrow about transfer, what the buyer needs to do because they're going to need to see about assumption, even if it's paid off. Services have to be assumed. Have them start collecting SDG&E bills, whatever you need for documentation. But all of that is part of what has to be provided, and that's within your time frames. That's been a stumbling block like crazy. That's why that disclosure is getting revised for June. There's going to be more and more with it as this grows, which we all knew was coming. The car forms update is going to maybe include a new RPA. There is some discussion figuring out, circling back to this whole thing with BRBC, how you guys are getting paid, the whole concession for the commission credit. Is it now a commission? Are they going back to that? Which I have concerns because of NAR and the settlement and what the terms of that were. Do we fall underneath that for exposure? All of that stuff. So I am watching it. That was a big topic when we were talking on forums yesterday. There's been ongoing concern because if the BRBC is not properly completed, then it's void. So the seller doesn't have to give the credit. But right now, the way the contract's written, the buyer's saying, no, it's all good. But how does the buyer know that contract is correct and fully completed? And then escrow gets a copy of it right now to disperse funds, but yet they're not liable if it is not created correctly. So there's a gap here, and there's a lot of questions. So it's going to be interesting to see what's going on. I'll have a training on that. I'll make sure everybody's walked through about it in the specifics. It's been a mess. I know we're all exhausted. I've been watching this since 2000. I started during COVID tracking on all this. The whole problem started in 2019 with the Sitzer Burnett and everything else. So it's one of those things that I've been keeping an eye on for a long time, trying to make sure I understand it correctly because we all want to get paid. As much as we love doing this job, getting paid is kind of part of it. So that's really important. But the biggest thing is just make sure you were checking that BRBC. That is 3 months. That is not 90 days. It is 3 months because that matches the legislation of the AB 2992 that went in January. That means all transactions in California, even if you're not getting a commission, need to have a buyer broker. It doesn't say that it's about commission. It's about documenting that we're working together. Now, if you choose not to take a commission, that's up to you and your broker to agree, because remember the commissions are always the brokers. But from there, make sure your documents are correct, because if there's anything that's not, technically it's not valid and they can say they don't have to pay you. So that was how some of the major fun things that I had happen in April. We're looking ahead to May. I'm going to go through the calendar and the contract. Where do we find dates? I know sometimes escrow wants something at a certain time, lender wants something at a certain time, but if it's not doing the contract, they may be waiting for it, or we need to be ready for that and address that when you're writing up your offer and your time frames. Bob Ledoux is a longtime client of mine who is also a lender who's going to come over and talk with us about what's the difference between a pre-qual, a pre-approval, and the DU. Who's allowed to get what has better weight value when you're trying to research with your client. Then I'll go through DocuSign, some of the hacks and power moves. There's some little tips and tricks that I think would make everybody's lives easier on that. So we'll walk through that. And then we'll wrap up with what went wrong in May. As soon as the new forms are officially blessed, they're still in draft mode. They're going through them. There's a plenty of changes. Then once that's ready, I will do that presentation. I'm expecting probably second week in May, hopefully sooner. I'll also make sure I've taken my car forms trainer class for what they're training us to train you, to make sure that we're all on the same page and know how to make your lives easier, because that's what this is all about. As always, please like, subscribe, follow, tell your friends and neighbors. If you need a TC, I'm here. If you have any questions, I'm here. Even if I'm not the TC on the file, but you just have a random weird question, I'd love to talk to you about it. You can always reach me at 619-993-7264. Verify everything with the broker of record of the file you are working on. I am Sam Hayes. This was Why with One Stop. This was our April recap of what went wrong and how we got it right. I always appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. The replay will be available on YouTube a little bit later today. Have a wonderful day and take care.